What's up? Cheers. It's a rum and cream soda, not wine. Sad. Quick fun fact is that I bought these cute little fairy lights that you can kind of see and forgot that I had cats. So they can only be up here while I'm filming right in front of the bookshelf because otherwise the cats eat them. They're both staring as lobes, waiting for me to move so they can eat the fairy lights. Today's video is going to be some series that I have started but have not finished, and I want to, I think. So let's get right on into this. I want to start off with the series that I plan to read and finish or catch up on really soon. Some of these series are still being written and I'm talking about just catching up to, you know, where they are at published, and some of them are done, finished, finito, and I need to read the ends. So the ones that I know I will be getting to very soon. The first one I want to talk about is Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas. I'm actually currently reading this book. I am listening to it on audio. It's the first Sarah J. Maas book that I've listened to, and it is narrated by one of the same girls that narrates Six of Crows, so I thought that that was really fun. So I am about 20%-ish into this book. So I know I'll be finishing this soon, and then the last book comes out at the end of the year. Super excited. I actually am not excited about this book in particular. I mean, it's good, and I've heard good things about the second half of it, but overall, I've been pretty apathetic about this book because it's all kale, and I don't really care about kale. Sorry. The next book that I know that I will be reading very, very soon but have not picked up yet is the last book in the Illuminate files, and that is Obsidio by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. Everybody probably knows about this book, but in case you don't, these books, these are the other two, are a series of 3 that follow different characters, all taking place in the sci-fi world where there are certain people that live on different planets and all this stuff. A planet gets bombed by something, and that is how the story starts, and there's a lot of political intrigue and private company intrigue and just conspiracy theories, and it's so good. And there is a really evil AI in these books, Aiden, and yeah, and these are told in alternative formats, so they've got cool stuff in it, and yeah, I'm excited and I want to read this one right now. Next book is another Jay Kristoff story, and it is the second story to Nevernight in the Nevernight Chronicles, God's Grave by Jay Kristoff. It's a signed first edition, guys, so signed. I actually have Nevernight is also signed on my shelf, I believe. I haven't met Jay Kristoff, although I have watched him on a panel before. Yeah, so this story follows a girl named Mia Couvert whose family was murdered, and so in order to get revenge, she decides to join an assassin's school so that she can learn how to murder the people who murdered her family and get revenge. And this story is a lot of blood, and there's sexy times in it, and it is not young adult, even though it is provided as young adult. Definitely not. Not for young viewers. Well, not for immature viewers, I should say, but yeah, this is really good and I really need to read this already. Next book I actually mentioned earlier in this little video here, and it is Crooked Kingdom, the End of the Duology by Leigh Bardugo. It starts with Six of Crows. I just listened to Six of Crows on audiobook recently, earlier this month. Yeah, and I liked it, enjoyed it, and I'm excited to get to this. And I just love the red pages. I really need to buy Six of Crows so that I can have them sitting on my shelves together, but I don't own Six of Crows. I got this on Book Outlet for really cheap, which is why it has the black dot on it. This story takes place in the Grisha trilogy, the Grisha verse from the Grisha trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. First one is a heist that takes place by these people who are all criminals and who are kind of like a gang, and some of them have magic powers and some of them don't, and yeah. There's a lot of love for Kaz and Inej's relationship in the first book, at least, and I personally ship Nina and Inej, but I think I'm one of the only ones who do that because they obviously have their own love interests, but there was a scene in Six of Crows that just made me wish that they were a ship. This book I have is one of the ones that I'm iffy about. I'm not quite sure if I want to read this or not. I don't know, I haven't decided yet, but it is the sequel to The Heir, which The Heir is the spin-off series of The Selection. So I read The Selection a few years ago. I loved that series. It's just a fun, fluffy, kind of dystopian, but it's entertaining is the point. And so it follows this girl who is in the selection, which is basically like The Bachelor for the prince who will soon be king of the basically America, but not quite America. It's like a bigger nation than what it is now in today's world. Bring, I think, 24 girls to the palace and they live there, and then the prince chooses certain ones to go home, and then eventually there's one and she will become his wife, and then eventually the queen. And so this follows the daughter of the relationship that happens in the first ones, and then the sequel also follows her in her own selection process. I liked this book, and so I do kind of want to finish this, I want to finish it, but it's just not a priority, I guess. These are really fun and cute, but also just like, they're fluffy, guilty reads, basically, so it's not like amazing fiction here. The sequel to You by Carolyn Kepnes, this one has one more book, and it is called Her, and so this book follows the guy named Joe, and he is stalking a girl, and he ends up convincing her to be his girlfriend, which is not a spoiler. This is written in second person, so it says you in it. You walk into the bookstore and you keep your hand on the door to make sure it doesn't slam. You smile, embarrassed to be a nice girl, and your nails are bare and your V-neck sweater's beige, and it's impossible to know if you're wearing a bra, and I don't think that you are. You're so clean that you're dirty, and you murmur your first word to me, hello, when most people would just pass by, but not you, and your loose pink jeans, a pink spun from Charlotte's Web. And where'd you come from? I listened to this on audiobook, holy shit, it was so fucking creepy, and I'm really excited to read Her. And some people didn't like that in the second book it switches perspectives from you to her, and so I'm really curious to see how I feel about it. They set it up really well is my point, and I don't want to say any more than that, but yeah, I'm really curious to read this one. The sequel to Scythe, which is Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman. And so Scythe follows a story about a supposed utopian world where we have gotten so good at science and all of the good things that come along with that, that people do not die on accident. You could jump from a 6-story building or a 50-story building and still survive. So the only way to keep the population under control is to have a scythedom, and so they have these people that are chosen to become scythes, and they kill people and in order to maintain the population, because nobody dies of old age or anything. Like, you can live as long as you want, as long as the scythe doesn't choose to kill you. And so the first book follows these two kids, one girl and one boy, who become scythe apprentices to one scythe, which has never been done before, at the same time, and they have to go through becoming a scythe, and that's the first book. And then the second book, I don't really know what the plot is, and I wouldn't want to tell you anyway just in case it gives away something, but the Thunderhead is the term that is like basically the internet of this verse, except the Thunderhead is AI that thinks and can give you information, but it specifically doesn't answer to anyone from the scythe. I'm really curious to see more about this AI thing, because I find that part of this story really, really fascinating, so I really want to read this book. The Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater, I've only read the first one, and I've read it a long time ago, so I probably should start over and read this book again, because like I said, it was a long time ago that I read it. I liked this book. I think that my expectations for this story were skewed, and then it left me a little bit disappointed because I was thinking it was going to be more magical than it ended up being, at least in the first book, and I don't know how the rest of the series goes. So I never ended up picking up the rest of the series, but I would be really interested, especially to listen to these on audio. I think that I would like them in that format. I forgot one that I have in physical copy, which is, I have not read the second or third book in the Darker Shades of Magic series. This is the third one, A Conjuring of Light by Victoria Schwab. I have read Vicious, and that one is getting a sequel this year, and so I need to read that. But this book, I recently read A Darker Shade of Magic, and I do really want to continue with this. This follows a young man named Kel who can go between alternate universes. They have a gray London, a red London, and a white London. Gray London is like a normal London, like here. It doesn't have any magic or anything, it's just a normal life. Red London is bustling with magic and super happy and like the thriving, and then White London is like has magic, but the magic is being sucked out of that world, and there's like a lot of bad people who live there, and it's just like pretty dangerous and stuff. And so that's the very basic premise of what this story is. Kel helps the kings and queens in Red London to discuss with the other Londons, and yeah. I liked the first one and I want to read more. I read the first of Alex and Eliza by Melissa De La Cruz. I really liked this book. It followed just the beginning love story of Eliza and Alexander Hamilton and ended in a place where, as a Hamilton fan of the musical, I was like, I need the rest of the story because it ends on a happy note, and so the sequel just came out recently and I really want to read it. It's another one of those like fluffy stories where it's not like super riveting or like intense, it's just like cute and fun, and I think I read this book in one day. The last book I have here is the sequel and the third book in the Stalking Jack the Ripper series, and I don't know if that's the correct term for the series, but Stalking Jack the Ripper follows a girl in the 1800s, I believe, who she has an interest in forensic pathology, and like at the time obviously that was not okay because she's a girl and all this stuff, and so she's been taken on as an apprentice by her uncle in secret, and she is following and trying to solve the murder of Jack the Ripper. That's the first book, Murder Mysteries of the Past, and there's a little bit of steampunk vibe in these books, which I wasn't a huge fan of, but I've heard that the second one was even better than the first, and the first one was good. It just wasn't my favorite, and so I'm excited to try out the next one. And those are the books that I have thought of I'm not sure if there are more, that I have started this series but I have not caught up / finished. I really need to read more books. If you liked this video, give it a big thumbs up and make sure to comment down below which book do you think I should read first? Which series should I work on finishing next? And if you haven't already, hit that little notification bell if you want to get notified for when I post. You can do that right now and it'll notify you every time a new video comes up. I do try to post every Monday and Friday. And hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I would greatly appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time with a new video. Bye!